if I'm taking much time.
No,
The
no, this
starting
is
itself.
related to the subject. No worries.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this. So, namaskaram, everybody. We'll take up Ganji, the first topic. So, again, we'll take up any questions you may have first before we start. Namaskaram, Anna. Before we start the today's magic thing. So, Ganji, Akka, can you show that again one more time? So, if you can see Ranjita Akka's screen, you can see the bottom part is actually thick. The top part is transparent, right? So when you store the Ganji, today we'll learn how to store the Ganji also. Since Akka has brought it up, it's great time. And today is the last session, so we'll learn this also. So this is how it will be automatically. The more solid part will settle to the bottom, and the translucent or transparent part will come to the top. Generally, if you want to use it as a culture, top part is preferable. For example, maybe 10 days later you want to make Ganji, right? So use some of this as a culture, just like how you make curd. Correct? Use the previous day's curd to make next day's curd. Correct? Same like that. So use a little bit of this as a culture, and next day you'll have the new Ganji again, basically. So you don't have to do this methi seeds and the red chilies all the time. You can use the existing culture. Just put 10 ml, 20 ml in there. It will be ready by next day. So we'll start with step 0 with Ganji again, one more time for everybody's information. So what we do is we cook the rice with more water than what it needs, basically. And the rest of the water that is floating on the top, we call that that's starch, basically, right? So starch is not digestible for human beings. Animals can digest starch. Starch and cellulose only animals can digest. That's why you'll see the cows are grazing on the grass. We cannot digest the grass because it has cellulose and starch. So likewise, even in the north, I don't know if anybody is from the northern part of India. Generally, potato is consumed heavily in the north, so that's why I'm saying it. Even in the north, the general mechanism of cooking potato also is you let the starch dissolve in water. Like you put the peeled potato in water, uh, and then you let the starch off before you consume it. Actually, even potato starch is not digestible. So that is also causing issues for us. And we'll discuss potato later. But generally, what I'm saying is starch is not digestible for human beings. So what happens is this ganji, we ferment it for one night. So what happens during this one night is all the healthy bacteria, okay? You can call them Devi Devtas or the celestial beings, which we cannot see. They're coming and transforming it into highly pranic ganji, right? From starch, it's becoming ganji, let's say, right? So that ganji, if you consume it regularly, right, you should not overconsume also because it will make you lethargic. So one glass a day is good enough. On summer days, for example, this is the replacement to buttermilk. So for example, during summer times, if you're consuming half-liter buttermilk, you can have half-liter ganji. That is okay. But rest of the year, especially winter times, you don't consume a lot. Just have one glass. That is enough. It just gives you the pranic boost, basically, and then you can go about for the rest of the day. Okay. So what is happening? So we'll discuss the mechanism also. So I gave you some energy and you have to utilize it. If you don't utilize it, what happens? Right? It becomes dull, basically. So you could be eating the highest positive pranic food, but if you don't utilize that energy, it will turn into rajasic and tamasic and slowly settle down in the body, and it will create lethargy within the system. The same bacteria that is willing to fight. Now you're asking them to just stay quiet and asking them to meditate. How will they feel? They'll just become lethargic. So generally you can think of this as like army, for example. If your national army is active, right, continuously something every day there's some activity or some drill or some fight is happening, they'll be very attentive. But for example, period of 3-4 months, right, there's no activity, right? Generally what happens is they just become very lethargic. That happened recently with China. When we were confronting China, we noticed that their soldiers were very lethargic because they have no activity. Same thing happens to the bacteria here. So what we have to do is we consume it depending on our activity. So one glass is not a problem. More than one glass, you make sure you have enough activity. Summertime you can have more because your body is your body's metabolism is high, right? And you also need to cool your body. You also need to add prana to your body. So it will help in multiple ways in summer times, okay, or on days when there's a lot of there are high temperatures, okay. So once you separate the starch, you add red chili crowns, green chili crowns, or methi seeds. So methi seeds, what do we call methi seeds, Akka?
Fenugreek.
Fenugreek seeds, right? You add like half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. And these three things are not bacteria in general. They attract the bacteria. They have the potency to attract the bacteria. So even today, I don't know if you know this, but for example, you don't have the curd culture at home. You can just use red chilies. It will take longer time. Instead of regular 6 to 8 hours, it may take 16 hours, and that's okay. But it will turn into curd. The milk will turn into curd because the red chilies will slowly attract the bacteria that is required to turn the milk into curd, basically. We're using the same concept here to ferment this to get the right kind of lactic acid bacteria, which is a cooling bacteria for us, which is a gut bacteria that we need, basically. Okay, so overnight it will ferment. So next day morning, you're able to consume it. Great. If you're not able to consume it, what do you do with it? You have one of the two options. One option is, or one of the three options. One option is you can offer it to the soil. Like if you have any plants, it's a great growth promoter. Okay, so that's number one. Second is you can preserve it for future use. What I mean by that is, say, for example, you're not eating rice every day, you're not getting ganji every day. Right? On a particular day, you want to have ganji, but you're not cooking rice. So you can preserve it today and you can use it at a later time. How to preserve it? We'll take a look at it. Third option is if you have attended the biosalt session, you would have noticed that you use the same ganji to make biosalt. Correct? So I'm not going to go over the biosalt procedure here because there's already a session. You can review the video again one more time. So we'll take a look at the second part right now, how to preserve the ganji. Okay. So like Akka was showing, Akka, can you just show your bottle one more time? Yeah, can you tilt it upside down? You see the bottle is not leaking anywhere. So this, we consider this as airtight. It's not absolutely airtight, but it's airtight enough for our purposes. Okay. You can take a bottle like that, or you can take use one of our bottles, like bottles like this. These are 1 liter bottles. You get milk bottles, right? So these are also airtight. So one moment. I'm going to pause for 1 second. Sorry. Okay. Am I visible? When we say red chilies for fermenting ganji, do we mean the dry ones? Yes, Sana. Yes, Akka. Red chilies we are only talking about the chili crowns. We're not talking about the full chilies. Just the top part of the chilies. Typically, we throw it out. We don't even use it. That part. The dry red chilies that we use for chili powder. That one. Yeah. So this is the bottle. So this is actually our ganji. So Akka, you're noticing that this is all solid only. Correct? In your case, you have solid and transparent part. Correct? In my case, I only have solid because I've used up all the culture to ferment my ganji every day. Okay, we'll talk about this process. So after 24 hours, whatever ganji that is left behind for you, you transfer into a glass bottle like this and make sure it's completely tight. That means it's not leaking. Okay. And this can stay for thousands of years if you maintain it well. What is the maintenance? It should be in shade. It should not be in hot temperatures. And light should not fall on it directly. Sunlight should not fall on it directly. So what we do is we have a shelf in the kitchen. In that shelf, we have like it's like always dark. Even the light bulb, that light also does not go inside. We keep these bottles in there. So there's actually I met 2, 3 Ayurveda doctors who are like specialists from generations. Like their ancestors were doctors, they passed on the tradition. They have 1,000-year-old kali, or kali means like the buttermilk, actually. Okay, that buttermilk, their ancestors, they don't even know who made it, when they made it. They've been preserving and preserving and preserving. They still have it today, the same culture from 1,000 years ago. If you find somebody like that, you ask for some other culture, and You use that, put that culture in this one. You preserve it. Okay. So how to use this as a culture for next day? So next day, for example, you don't want to use your chili crowns and methi seeds and all of that. What you do is, tomorrow morning when you're cooking your rice, you remove the starch. You pour 20 ml of this in that. After it becomes lukewarm, it should not be hot. Like I said, this the bacteria will die if it's very hot. It should come to lukewarm temperature, just like how you're making curd. You never put curd in the very hot milk. It should be slightly warm, right? Lukewarm to warm. So you do the same thing with this. Put 20 ml of this in that starch. Okay. Next day it will ferment. Okay. So what we do is every once a week, we don't consume the ganji. We pour it in this bottle with the culture. So this will become culture for the next 1 week again. On some days, we make lot of rice. We don't have enough people to consume the ganji. We save it. We save it and use that for to make biosalt. So this is biosalt. Again, same thing. We put our crystal salt in this, rock salt or whatever, and this is biosalt. So there's multiple uses of this. So do not throw away your ganji unless you're like, for example, catering company where you're making lot of rice every day that you can afford to throw. But this is your amrit basically. Okay. So this is the deal with the starch. So whenever even you can see, or by my biosalt also, the transparent part floats on the top. Correct? Is it visible? Yeah. Okay. Right.
So,
So that,
Anna, quick question. Can we consume the kanji for dinner?
very good question. So, okay. So Ganji is sattvic bacteria which should not be consumed post 6 p.m. or post sunset. Highest, I mean, we recommend it be consumed before 12 o'clock only, before noon, basically. Right? After noon, we should not be consuming um, any of these fermented foods, generally saying. So even we lost this. Traditionally, unless you're living in a very hot region, at nights, if you're eating dinner at night, we would not be drinking curds or buttermilk at night. But people from very hot regions used to drink milk, hot milk, because if you drink fermented food at night, one of the two things will happen, especially with the type of fermentation we are making. We are creating lactic acid bacteria, which is a coolant. So already you don't have fire in the system after sunset. So if you're pouring more coolant in the system, the digestion will become very difficult. I know we can argue this both ways that yeah, you have the proper gut bacteria you're doing and all of that, but it depends on the times, right? For example, 6 months of the year in India is very hot anyway, so you can consume it. The other 6 months, you just be careful. Like proper, today we are in the highest point of the rainy season. Today is not a good day. If it rained throughout the day, today is not a good day to consume kali or the ganji after 6 p.m. Okay. Winters right now, for example, where we are at in North Karnataka, our temperatures range between 0 to 5 degrees at nights. So obviously we are not going to consume at nights. We'll only consume in the morning. Especially if you consume in the morning, it'll keep your mind and body active to do anything. Okay. So yes. Now I'm going to introduce you guys with a new term today. So from today on, whenever you're making the ganji, after the first day, right? After overnight fermentation, whatever is remaining, you store in this glass bottle. Okay. So after it stays in the glass bottle for 1 week. Okay. Every day you just open and close for 1 week. That's it. There will be no gases, but just open and close it for 1 week. At which point we have a new word called Kali. Okay, if you can remember this word, it's called Kali, not Kali, but Kali. So Kali is this preserved kanji. Okay, typically we use the Kali only as culture. Okay, what happens? So we'll talk about Akka Samyama right now. So there's this word called Samyama, Samadhi, Sama. You may have heard these words, right? Does anybody know what Sama means? In all these words, this is a root word, right? Sama, sama, sama.
Equal?
Equanimity. Yes, equal, equanimity, right? We call it equanimity is like samasthiti, right? So the bacteria in Kali is in samadhi, basically. It's not dormancy. So difference between dormancy and samadhi, like dormancy, right? Like for example, people say bacteria has gone dormant. That means it has no consciousness anymore. It went to sleep. You can see in winter hibernation, right? Hibernation is nothing but dormancy. In this, bacteria has reached the highest consciousness state, but they're not involved in any activity. So they're in samadhi state, basically. So in the highest level they can be before death, that's the state they will reach after 1 week. And that's what you're preserving. You will notice that after 1 week, this will become more concentrated. That means you cannot drink it like that. Maybe you would have drank one full glass before. Now you can only drink half of this and half mix it with water. You have to dilute it. It becomes a little more concentrated after 1 week. Okay. So is it clear so far with how to separate Ganji, how to make it after how to store it, how to preserve it, how to create Kali after 1 week? Is everything clear?
And now one question.
Yes, Akka.
So the stored kanji, assuming this was my kanji after the first day,
Huh.
I'll store it in the airtight container, and
Correct.
every day I'll just open it and close it.
Correct.
Okay, I don't plan to use this as
Culture.
what do you say? Yeah, culture for the next one,
That is
because
fine.
let's say I have multiple bottles or something
Fine,
like that.
fine. Yeah.
So in that case,
Yeah.
and you said it is good for a lifetime, right?
Yeah, it is good for a
So,
lifetime.
yeah, but when I open and close it every day,
Yeah.
you just said it will get concentrated over a period of time. So I can
The,
just have it, mix it with water
yeah.
any day when I want.
Whenever you want it, you can do 50-50, 50% this, 50% water, and you can consume it.
Okay. And the second question is, the first time you said you have to ferment for 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's not an airtight lid. It is
No, no.
just
It's
open.
open. Open. Yeah. Open means like with cloth.
Okay, just a cloth. Okay,
Just a
so
cloth.
dust doesn't fall. Okay.
Dust doesn't fall, and if you have any insects or something, they won't go settle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
it. So the first time you do it, you have to do it with aerobic. That means exposed to the environment. Right? Just cover it with a cloth. After the first time, what all the storage will happen in this bottle. And yes, until maybe a couple of weeks ago, I used to have a 4-year-old Kali actually. But Pramodana had used it off. He did not know I was preserving it. So he made biosalt with it, and that biosalt tasted very well. So it's okay, it's worth it, I guess. But yeah, you can use it for years and years. It will stay very good. Um and if you want to preserve something for a very long time, you invest in some really good rice, right? Organic whole rice that is darker in nature. So it could be anything like red rice, purple rice, or black rice. You make with that for preservation purposes, for long-term preservation, like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that you don't want to lose the culture, you want to preserve it somewhere, because those grains have more diversity and more strength. They can attract more bacteria compared to brown rice or lighter colored rices. Okay. Generally in nature, dark things generally have more potency. It's like Shiva. He's more potent than lighter things generally. So, okay. Any questions for Ganji or anything we covered so far? We covered bioenzyme, we covered Ganji, we covered lamp, we covered different ways of uh, different lifestyle things we covered. So, any questions?
Anna, can we mix ganji from two different times of cooking when we are storing it?
Yeah, you can do it.
That is okay.
Not a problem. But as long as you make sure there's no contamination, right?
Okay.
If you're confident there's no contamination, like for example, you did it, you followed the process properly. You put a cotton cloth, make sure that no dust and dirt fell in it, no insects went into it. Yeah, you can absolutely do it. Because you may not fill this full bottle on the same day. Maybe you're only left with this much every day. right? You'll continuously fill up this bottle, and that is okay.
But then in that case, because we are opening the bottle for
Mm.
7 days in a row,
Yeah.
then I'll have to keep opening the bottle for a very long time
No, no,
until.
actually, in fact, you don't have to open it at all, like depending on your rice. I've only noticed that only for once or twice I had to open the bottle. So, okay, so I'll correct this one part. You don't have to open it for all 7 days. Just open once after the third day and close it, and that's it. After the seventh day, you open it and see if there's no gas or anything, you're done. On the third day, also, it's not required, but just to be safe, if there's any contamination, that will go away, basically. So, unlike bioenzyme and other stuff, kali will not give off gas. But gases will only come if you didn't follow the process 100% properly. There's a chance. So we don't want the glass bottles to break. That's the only reason. Plastic bottles, we can take chances, no problem at all. So that's why we are doing bioenzymes in the plastic bottle. So anybody started the, sorry, Akka, you have more questions? Okay. Have you started the Ganji process?
Yeah, I've made it a couple of times, but we don't consume rice on a regular basis. So we
So you can
eat,
store it now.
yeah, we eat bhakri and
Bhakri.
chapatis.
Okay, okay, no worries. So in the maybe in the advanced classes, we'll learn how to make proper chapati and stuff. So I'll tell you for everybody's benefit, the issue we have with chapati compared to other millets. With the other millets, we don't have this issue as much as we have with chapati. Is chapati is made from wheat, and the wheat today in India is not native wheat of India. So the native wheat of India was gluten free, so we did not have any issues. Wheat always has gluten, but it's very minimal amount that it did not have any issues. It did not cause any issues for us. But today's wheat is introduced to us by British. In fact, the wheat production today is 100 times to 1,000 times more than what it used to be in India at one point. Because we used to produce all sorts of millets all over India, not just in the north, south, east. There's no division like that. Everywhere in India, no grain is produced heavily except for rice. Rice is the only grain that was produced heavily all across India. So wheat production increased because British wanted to consume, because obviously their main staple is wheat. So India was the perfect agriculture ground for them to convert. So that's when majority of the North India got converted to wheat, not because they wanted to convert North Indians only, but that's a favorable land for wheat production because generally it's colder. So wheat is grown in colder regions. For example, where we are in Karnataka, it's actually colder region. So we can produce wheat here also. And it is actually produced here. So it's not a north versus south thing. Generally, in colder climates, wheat is produced easily, basically. It's more favorable. So because of that, we got the GMO wheat right now. Because I remember when I was very young in India, in fourth class, we had this story. It's a Russian author. He was talking about how today's GMO is like making wheat bigger and bigger and bigger to an extent where the plant cannot hold the weight of the wheat. It will just fall before the production only. He was just joking about it, but I never paid attention to that. We were very young. We didn't understand all those things. And this was so many years ago, where all these issues were not prevalent back then. You know, pesticides, GMOs. Who thought of GMO 20 years ago, 25 years ago, right? So today, obviously, we are hearing these words left and right because they've become more predominant. Everything we are holding is some sort of GMO, basically, right? Sitafal GMO has also come right now. So you have everything right now. And that is like, grown in rocks. This scientist says that Sitafal is something that just grows on mountains everywhere, on rock hills, where there's very little soil. Even that we modified it today. So we're doing everything. We're doing all sorts of things with the food. So with the gluten that is in the wheat, that is causing a lot of indigestion issues. When I say indigestion again, we're not talking about um, defecation in the morning. We're not talking about that. Food will go in and go out. That is not the problem. So in the first session, we went over what digestion means. Digestion means the ability of the system to absorb the food and eliminate that is not digestible by us, basically. If you're eating 1 kilo of food and eliminating 800 grams, that is not digestion. That's elimination only. So digestion means body should be able to absorb what you're consuming. So with the wheat, that is the problem we have all across India. And I was talking with my, this was like years ago again. I was talking with my friends in the in UP area. He was saying doctors ask them to consume rice at night when they have health issues. You come down south, the doctors ask you to consume chapati at night if you have health issues. Okay. So this is like a game because they don't know have any solutions. They'll ask you to do something different with your food. That's all. So so every millet in India is equally good. Rice is the most precious only because of the prana. That's all. Nothing more than that. It's again, rice was consumed all over India. Today, the consumption has gone down in the wheat predominant regions, mainly from British times. Before that, rice was consumed everywhere. So we'll talk about how to remove that gluten part of the wheat in the advanced sessions. Yeah. Because I want you to get used to these things. Until you get used to these basic topics, until you're used to practicing them, you may not understand these things because it will become very, very complicated for us. So that's why I want everybody to, to do these basic things like bioenzyme, the biosalt, and few things. Experience the prana, and then slowly we'll get to the other topics. Yeah. Thank you, Akka. So, any other questions? Abhijit Anna, Sailan Anna, Vilas Anna. I know Abhijit Anna was doing Ganji for some time. Are you still doing it, Anna?
Yes, Anna.
Okay, okay. How are you enjoying it?
Yes, yes, it is very cool. My father also started
Ah,
drinking.
okay. Very nice. Very good to hear, Anna.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay,
thank
so today we'll jump on to so okay, first of all, I want to know if you're interested in 1 second. Okay, so today is the last session, but I want to give you something very beautiful and powerful for the last session. So, we talked about what is being deficient in the system today. One is micronutrients. Okay, because of the soil depletion, we're not getting enough micronutrients, right? Number two, the food is also lacking prana, right? Maybe there's rich soils also. Prana is missing because of heavy chemical usage and the farming practices, right? Unethical farming practices. Number three, even if ethical practices were formed, in the logistics itself, we're using some preservatives where we're killing the whatever prana is left in that food. Okay. So, is there a solution that can at least compensate for all of this at once? Okay. Again, thanks to Shailendra Guruji and partially like look with a few of the volunteers, there's a solution uh, that can cover all of this. So in the chat, or earlier today in WhatsApp group, we asked you to get a glass bottle and a beetroot. How many of you have it? Okay, Ranjita has it. Anybody else? Did anybody else get beetroot and glass bottle? Okay, no worries. So, do you know? Okay, does anybody know about Jains or Jainism or anybody there in the group who actually belong to Jain community by any chance? Okay,
I
no.
just know that they don't eat things underground that are grown
Okay,
and they're usually
yes,
vegan.
yes. So Jains are heavy vegans, not just normal vegans. So they're extreme vegans, right? They don't even consume the food that's grown underground. So, for example, no beetroot, no potato, no onion, no garlic. Correct? So, I mean, there's multiple reasons for why they don't do it, but one of the common reasons people hear is they don't want to kill the plant. Because for us to consume something underground, you have to kill that plant to get that food, basically. So they don't want to, this is like extreme ahimsa, like extreme non-violence, basically. So that's one of the reasons they don't consume something from the soil, and that's okay, right? Because of their own specific practices, they are not consuming it. But if you don't have any such reservations, we'll use something called beetroot. So there's so many things that are grown under soil. Why beetroot? Right? What are the other things that usually come from soil? Anything else like besides onion and garlic?
Carrot?
Carrot. And
Groundnuts.
Gauri Akka is saying groundnuts. Yeah, radish. Yeah, perfect. So carrots, radish, beetroot, groundnuts. Okay, but the groundnuts comes under groundnuts is this very special food. Okay, I'll end today's session with talking about groundnuts. Groundnuts is like everything. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so in terms of vegetables, we only have carrots, radish, and beetroot, and we have something called gazer. Gazer is also a family of carrots only, which is actually native Indian carrots, let's say, right? So they're usually longer and orange in color. Some people already know about it. Okay, so out of these four, we found beetroot to have the highest amount of micronutrients. So we took beetroot. Okay, why things going under the soil? Because things that grow under the soil usually capture the most micronutrients. But generally, things that grow under the soil can also create lethargy. So generally, they come under neutral prana. They have the chance to create lethargy. So they come under neutral prana. That means your beetroots and radishes and carrots, they'll bring lethargy within your system because they cannot digest within your system. Okay. So two ways of categorizing negative pranic in terms of lethargy. One category is, yeah, your system can process it, but it's actually tamasic or rajasic in nature. By nature, it is like that. It will make you lethargy. The other kind is your body cannot digest it easily, which creates lethargy. So carrots, beetroot, and radish have high fiber, or the kind of fiber that it has, which is not easily digestible by human beings. Yeah, you can boil it and eat it. That is okay. Still not the best way to consume. So today we'll learn how to make the best out of beetroot. So you get prana, micronutrients, and the minerals that are missing. Okay. Are you excited? Ready for this? Okay. So there's this term called, I'll type in here before for everybody. It's a Mediterranean Middle Eastern term. Okay. Again, this was from Shailendra Guruji only. So what we do is, I'll show you the end product first. It's called beet kvass. This is what it looks like. Okay. We'll, we'll take a look at how to make this. Okay. So you take beetroots. One moment. Mm. Is it visible for you? These are beetroot chopped pieces. Like cut them in square. Okay. Cut them as small as you can. Okay. You can cut them even smaller than this. Actually, I don't know if you're able to see, but this much size is also good, right? As small as you can. And then you have to fill your airtight glass bottle, something like this, 40%. Okay. Again, these are all approximations. You will never be able to get exact 40% unless you use that liter gauge to pour and figure out, but approximately 40%. You'll get up till here, right? 40% you fill it with beetroot pieces. The rest you fill it with water. Okay, what do you add in this is you can add half a tablespoon of jeera, half a tablespoon of methi seeds or fenugreek seeds, and your biosalt. Okay. So if we're going to first time, because you're experimenting, don't add a lot of biosalt, just add 10 ml of biosalt. Okay. Everybody has different salt preferences. So first time after you finish, you taste it. If that salt is enough, great. Right? If that's less, you can add more biosalt next time. In fact, you can add biosalt later also. So for the purpose of this, we'll add methi seeds, 2 to 3 chili crowns or red chili crowns. Okay, green chili or red chili crowns, methi seeds, and some jeera, right? And if you have certain taste for dhania also, dhania is coriander seeds, right? You can add very little, half a teaspoon. Whatever I'm saying, you don't add more than half a teaspoon because during fermentation, the flavor just amplifies like 20, 30 times. That's what happens. Whatever you normally get with half a teaspoon of jeera, the flavor, you get like 20 times of that flavor here. So we use very little. So first time use just these three, that is enough. So you can use the red chili directly, one red chili, not more than that. 2 to 3 chili crowns, green chili crowns or red chili crowns, half a teaspoon of jeera, half a teaspoon of dhania or coriander, half a teaspoon of fenugreek or methi seeds. Okay, and tighten the lid, keep it aside. 24 hours later, you have to release the gases. This thing is 3-day process. After 3 days, you will notice that you will not get any more gases. After that, you have to strain the liquid. That means separate the liquid from the solids. Okay. Then what you do? You add more water again. This is the second batch because there's still a lot left in the beetroot. You can extract. Second batch will finish in 2 days. Again, separate the liquid, fill it up again with 1 liter. Third batch will finish in 1 day. This whole process is how many? 6-day process. In 6 days, you will get 3 batches. Is it making sense? Am I making sense? Everybody got it? Yes, no, maybe? So I'll repeat the process. Questions, anybody?
Yeah, Anna.
Yeah,
After the
can
first day, sorry.
Okay.
After the
Ranjita
first
Akka?
day, after the first day, should we filter out the seeds out?
Okay. So question is, after the first day, should we filter out the methi seeds and everything? No. Everything will be here only. For 3 days, first 3 days, you will be removing gases only. Then you will be separating everything. Use that, the tea strainer, something like that. You just separate the liquid. All the solids will go back in here again, including the seeds. And then you add water again. This time it's a 2-day process. For 2 days, you have to release the gases and then do the same thing again. Okay. And solids will go back into this again. Okay. And fill it up with water again. The third batch will be very light. It will happen in 1 day. Again, you do the separation. Okay. One moment. Ramodana. ఇంకొక బీట్రూట్ది ఉంది కదా అది తీసుకొస్తారా లైట్ ఉంది కదా అది
Can we filter all these 3 days beet juice in one bottle?
Yes. So yes, you can filter all the 3 days in one bottle because the first time concentration is very high. This is not the best example, but after third time you will notice the concentration is very low actually. Correct? You see the first time and third time difference? Is it visible? The second one will be somewhere in between the two. Okay. When you mix all the three, it will become medium concentration. So after 6th day on, I mean, you can start drinking after the first batch only. But if you want to drink like a consistent thing, so wait for 6 days. You get 3 batches. In my case, if I do 1 liter bottle with 3 batches, I get about 2 liters approximately, right? Because 40% is beetroot. That's why, right? The 600 ml, 600 ml, 600 ml will come to around 2 liters, less than 2 liters, right? So after 3 days, I'll put everything into 2 liters of bottle and I'll talk about the consumption later. Is the process clear so far?
So do we have to keep this also in shade?
Everything, Akka. So everything related to fermentation, including your bioenzyme, biosalt, beet kwas. Beet kwas is what we just discussed, and the kali. Kali is the fermented ganji, right? The 7 days fermented ganji. All of these have to be in shade only. So it's not a bad idea to invest in some space in your house where it will be shade and cool.
Anna, in my family we don't make this, but somewhere I had seen some videos of kanji using
Yeah.
beetroot. So are you aware of that? Is it similar to this?
Same
Because
thing.
in
This is
that
beet
case
kanji.
I had seen this is kanji only.
This is beet
Right?
kanji. Beet kanji.
Kanji.
So the
Actually, but
difference
they
is,
had mentioned that it should be kept in sunlight. So
problem is beet kanji. Kanji is a very generic term in India. Okay, so whenever you're making kanji, see even beetroot juice is also kanji only. That is one type of kanji. Beetroot extract is a type of kanji. After 1 day, you'll get a beetroot extract. Actually, you don't have to wait for 3 days. If you keep anything overnight, you'll get the extract. Right? That is also a type of kanji. You ferment it. That is also a type of kanji. Okay, there's so many variations. There's takrarishta in Ayurveda generally. For example, buttermilk, they keep it under sun for 1 week to 10 days. Okay, that is also a type of kanji. So there's so many kanji preparations for different purposes. We want to have cooling effect within us. Correct? So that's why we are doing this process. If you keep the same thing under sun, you will get a different kind of bacteria. We don't want that for now. We are also going to experiment in future on how to get vitamin D. We are working, we started, but we got very busy. But that is our next step, is to how to extract vitamin D from sun into the food so that we can solve the problem for at least for people who are living in cold countries. In India for at least the 3 months. See, generally, the traditional way of getting vitamin D, if you haven't noticed, is through pickles. So whatever you make in summer or after summer, it takes 4 or 5 months for the pickles to settle. Today, I think I've noticed when I was young, it used to be the case. When I was young, when my grandmother used to make pickle, we used to eat after 2 or 3 months. Today, how people are doing is today they make pickle, 2 days later they're consuming it. There's no value, you're just eating spices, that's all. So for example, mango pickle, it has to come, like it has to completely settle within it, ferment within itself, and that's when the vitamin D comes into the system. That's how, so India's made pickles for winter times actually. That November, December, January, February, 3 or 4 months is when the pickles were heavily consumed because of lack of sun. Pickles are rajasic in nature, so it gives you that necessary heat. So that is the point. So today, obviously, since we are not waiting for pickles to settle, we have to figure out some other ways of extracting vitamin D. And other reason is you're not making pickles at home. That's other problem. So if you're buying store pickles, they're loaded with preservatives. You don't get anything. In fact, they'll take your vitamin D and flush it in the system. So eliminate it. So that's also a problem. Anybody want to try this? Beet course. So like I said, you have to add some biosalt to it, like 10 to 20 ml. When you add all of this, it will become mineral rich, micronutrient rich, prana rich, and you'll get some really good taste. Beetroot taste is actually very good when you have it. So how to consume this? After the 6 days are done, or at least after the first batch is done, which is after 3 days. 30% this, 70% water. It's very concentrated. Okay, 30% this, 70% water. So this is a general thing for the first batch, which is very concentrated. Like I said, after the first batch, you will be able to gauge the taste of the spices you added, taste of the salt you added. If you feel something is less, from next time onwards, you add a little more of that. You have to experiment it according to your own taste, basically. We can consume it without any of it, and that is okay. But the way we are consuming the spices today, none of these spices are helping us. They're just draining in the system, right? So this is the best way to consume spices also, because you have to understand the spices are highly potent. They have a lot of nutrition that we are not making use of. India is rich in spices, and the entire West dependent on India for no reason. It's not like they cannot grow spices. They could have done different ways. If it's just the taste, it's not just about the taste. And there's so much more to spices than that. There's a lot of potency. Entire Ayurveda is about how to use spices properly so you can heal yourself. Correct? So, is it clear? Any questions with the process? Abhijitana, Gauriyaka, Sailanana. Anybody would like to try this?
We'll definitely try.
Okay, thank you, Akka. So if you could do this much, whatever we covered in the last five, sessions, with the water, what to do with the sun charge, moon charging, with the bioenzyme, how to add bioenzyme to your day-to-day life, how to add biosalts, you can have, you don't have issues with the mineral deficiency you have. And beet course is this ultimate drink. Every day you have beet course. You see, you can have ganji also with this every day, and that is okay. These two are two separate things. Okay. You can have 1 glass of this and 1 glass of that, and that is okay. Totally fine. Okay. So this will make a lot of difference. I've noticed chronic illnesses also they were able to cure just having beet course regularly, like blood pressure and diabetes also. but regular consumption every day. And obviously, you have to take care of the diet a little, but we've seen people reversing because it cleans your system also in many ways, right? So once the system is cleaned, you'll become a little lighter, and whatever the body has to heal, it will heal by itself actually. We are only giving the environment to the body to heal by itself because body has the capacity for self-healing. Today we are just not providing it the right environment. That's all. So you'll get to encounter the bacteria that are doing samyama. So if you've already done samyama, great. If not, you can be friends with the bacteria that are doing samyama right now. So that is a possibility with this process.
Anna,
After
can we consume the beetroot, or should we discard it after the three
Ah,
batches?
yes, we have to discard it. The one of the main reasons why we are doing it this way is because the beet fibers are not digestible by us. I know you can cook the beetroot, like boil the beetroot and consume. Even that is only 50% efficient. This is the best way to extract everything that is within the beetroot, right? All the positive prana and all the positive micronutrients. This is the best way to do it. So yeah, after the 6 days or after 3 batches, we have to discard the beetroot. And you can discard everything else also with it, all the spices, because they're also gone, right? Everything that is there within them, we've extracted it. So Abhijit Anna, after straining first and second batch, how to store it? Same thing, Anna. These glass bottles, you have to invest in these glass bottles, at least 5 of them, right? One for biosalt, one for kanji, one for beet course, 2 spare. Okay. So this much, if you can invest, it will be very handy for you. Okay. They should be airtight. That means no leakage. Okay. If you're from down south like Tamil Nadu or Kerala, you can get, especially, yeah, you can get these very easily because actually these are manufactured in Coimbatore only. So anyway, they're exported all over India. So we pay higher price for these. If you're in Kerala, it's much closer to you to get these things, or Tamil Nadu also.
Okay, after first batch, whenever we want to make this beet kvass, so we don't need to put all the chili, methi, all those stuff, or do we need do we need put?
So after the first batch, you don't have to put it again. Like I said, when you're separating, when you're straining, all those ingredients, you put them back into the bottle again after straining.
No. I'm not saying first batch. It means second time. Whenever we make second time.
It's not needed because the bacteria is already created in it. The culture is already there. When you add water, the culture will automatically take control.
Okay, thank you.
In the 3 days, whatever culture is already there. Anyway, you're not straining 100%. 100% water, you're not putting it out. There will still be like at least 10 ml left in the bottle after straining also. That culture is enough to start the next fermentation.
Yeah, and after 3 days we will throw the beetroot, right?
So the first batch is 3 days. Second batch, it
Yeah.
will happen in 2 days. Third batch can happen in one
Yes.
day. So after this
Yes.
6 days ordeal, we throw everything out.
Yeah. Then after that, other week or other month, we want to make beet kvass again.
Yeah.
So that time, do we need to put chili, methi, all those stuff, or only?
Very good. So this is one thing I'd like you to remember. To make any of these 3 things, ganji, biosalt, or beet kvass, if you're making them, or even bioenzyme also, if you already have it, if you're making another batch next time, say a week later or something, you can use 20 ml of this as culture. It will happen faster. So next time, whatever has to happen in 3 days will happen in 1 or 2 days. Whatever is happening in 2 days will happen in one day itself. Only thing is you have to release gases. That's all. Okay. Same with bioenzyme. Bioenzyme is 3-month process the first time, right? But if you have the culture, you can finish it in 40 days. One mandala. That's it. I think the first time it does the single time Shambhavi because it's not used to it. So it does the 90-day mandala. Once it gets used to it, it does the 40-day mandala. So the time is greatly reduced.
So, Anna, no need of beetroots if I'm doing the next month. Only the culture is enough. 20 ml culture and 70% water.
No. Beetroot is needed,
Okay, along
but
with the
you
20 ml culture and the remaining water.
remaining water, you don't need the chili crowns and all of that, methi seeds and everything, because you don't need to create new culture again. So, because the existing culture has all the microbes that you need to start the process. The reason we are adding methi seeds and chili crowns is to attract the bacteria to start the fermentation process. Because the bacteria is already here, you don't have to add those two. Okay, and depending on your taste, you can add other spices also. By the way, again in very small quantities for testing purposes. Once you feel you're comfortable, you can create whatever masala you want in this. And the reason I'm okay with you eating so much masala is because you're fermenting it. It's okay for your body. Your body will absorb it and use it properly. Okay?
And how long do we store this again for life if we just open the
See,
gases and keep
technically
it?
for
Or?
life, but I highly recommend you consume it within 1 month.
Okay. And for kanji as well as this one, if the weather is cold and we still want to have kanji,
Yeah.
how do we do the double heating method? Just to can we slightly heat the kanji or no?
So if the fermentation is not happening well, right? So
No, if it is fermented, sorry, if it
okay.
is already fermented, the
Yeah.
kanji is already there,
Yeah.
and I've stored it.
Okay.
I just want to have kanji today, but the
Okay.
weather is cold outside and I want to have
Okay.
it. Can I have it a little warm?
You can have it a little warm, but yeah, you can use a double heating or indirect heating method, like you said, but make sure it's not hot. You can make it little warm. Again, like I said, if you expose these things to hot, like heat or
The
hot
prana goes
temperature,
off.
prana goes off. After room temperature, after 35 degrees Celsius, slowly you'll see the depletion in prana. At 60, it will go off completely.
Okay, and can I add any other spices to the kanji before
Yeah,
having?
absolutely. So, like we were saying, okay, so this is the probably a beautiful addition. So, for example, you strain the starch today. Okay. By next day, the ganji is prepared. The fermented ganji is prepared. Correct. So today in that starch itself, you will be adding methi seeds or culture. If you already have ganji prepared, you'll have the culture, right? In that, you can add any of the spices of your liking. Very little, not a lot. So make sure for the ganji purpose, don't add multiple spices. Only add one a day. For example, today you add ajwain. Tomorrow you add jeera. After that you add mustard seeds. After that you add coriander. Right? For different days you add different spice. That way, within 1 week you would have covered 7 spices, whatever your body needs. Beet cause is different. You can add multiple spices. It's not a problem. With ganji, you add only one spice at a time. For preservation, it's best not to add any spices. If you're going to preserve that particular ganji, don't add any spices. Preserve it purely, neutrally. And then whenever you add it, again, as a culture, you can add whatever spice you want. So add spices only if you know you're going to consume it. If you're not going to consume it, don't add spices. That's all. Okay, that's why beet cause I'm saying to consume within 1 month is primarily because there's already food in it, vegetable in it, which is fine. It's not a problem, but we recommend it to consume it early, just because our environment is also not 100% clean yet. Once you follow all these processes and stuff, and say you created a beautiful environment, I have beet cause for 2.5 years. Also, it was very good. It becomes a little more concentrated. So, for example, instead of 30%, I use only 15% and rest with water. That is the only difference as the time goes away. So I was telling you about this 1,000-year-old buttermilk, right? It looks like water only. You cannot differentiate water from that buttermilk. They retain the culture like that. So even all these things, if you just keep it for a very long time, it looks like just water only at some point. So everything clear so far?
Anna, you had mentioned that for ganji consumption, we can mix it with rice and consume.
Yeah.
So for this beet kwas also, can we do something similar with other food?
Yeah, you can do it. First, for time though, I highly recommend you to taste it first. if you feel you like the taste, you can mix it with other food. But please, can you give me some examples of what food you're talking about? Then I can say, definitely don't mix any of these things with dairy. Like
With what?
dairy, like no milk, no curd, no ghee, none of that. You can mix these with any of these cereals like rice, chapati, or roti, any of that, that is okay. You can eat them with sabzi also, that is also fine.
Uh, because I have a kid and he will not always consume if I give him
Yeah,
certain
absolutely.
forms.
Yes, you can
So
do
I'll
it.
have to experiment.
Yeah. So I think for your kid, yeah, you can try different ways of doing it. Yeah. But again, don't mix any of these with the sweets also. No sugars. Like no jaggery, nothing for now. In the advanced sessions, you'll learn how to use jaggeries for different things. But for now, don't mix any of these things with dairy or jaggery for now. Okay. Any questions? So
No questions,
how's
and it's just it is so
too
much.
much? Too
I
much?
think because we lack the practice.
Yeah, that is okay. That is why the
Uh,
fundamentals take a very long time. That's why we're not sharing everything also. We want you to get started with this. Once this basic practice is set up, you can pick it up like all the other things you pick up very easily. Without me explaining only, you'll tell me what the next step is going to be. It's an experiential thing. I mean, you have to experience this. You'll notice all this bacteria will start talking to you at some point. I'm not joking. You'll experience that one day. Like you will know if it's gone bad or not just by looking at it, just by experiencing, just by holding it, you can say if it's good or not. So, any other questions?
And now last time I spoke to you, you had mentioned that if we are consuming millets like jawar and bajri, which
Mhm.
we are at my place right now, we are consuming it
Consuming.
the
Yeah,
most in the form of bakri.
yeah.
So you had said that it is like gross. So can you please elaborate and explain?
Did I say gross?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact sentence.
Yeah, major millets and minor millets.
Yeah.
Okay. So, generally, you may have, okay, generally, all across India, people would have heard of major millets. Major millets are bajra, jowar, ragi. Technically, rice is also a millet, right? In some way. Wheat, these are all major millets. These are some things we are used to eating. They're a little more grosser in nature. Okay. And there are minor millets, which, if you are from Tamil Nadu, you would have known about this from birth because you're exposed to it. But if you're from other parts of India, other minor millets, I don't even know what the names are, like foxtail millet, barnyard millet. There's so many, like, there are about 10 more actually. They come under minor millets. So with the major millets, uh, so millets in general, right? They grow in very water deprived condition. Okay, that's how their nature is. They can grow with 2 3 rainfalls, that's it. They're not like rice and wheat. Okay, because of that we have to cook them for a very long time, just like tuor. Tuor means pigeon pea, the dal we make sambar with, right? So tuor dal, which is predominant across India, it takes 6 to 7 months to grow tuor. So you have to cook it for that long, right? It took that much time to form tuor, so it takes longer time. That's why dal takes longer than rice. Do you see the difference? Millets also should take a long time, not because of the length, because they're grown in such dry conditions. So they need to be cooked, water treated for a very long time. That's why, we soak the millets for 16 hours compared to rice. Rice we can soak for 8 hours, we are fine. Millets you have to soak for a longer time, like 12 hours easily, because they've been water deprived. And then if you eat water deprived content like that, your body will becomes very dry inside. You cannot digest it. It doesn't have enough juices to digest it properly. And the fibers within the millets, right? The millets, these minor millets have a special type of fiber. So they have a layer of carbohydrate, layer of fiber, layer of carbohydrate, layer of fiber. That's how they're formed. So if you want to dissolve all that fiber, it takes a very long time to cook. So that is the biggest difference between major millets and minor millets. Major millets are just like rice and wheat. like bajra, jowar, and everything. They're formed, outer layer is fiber, in the inner layer is your carbohydrate. But with the minor millets, you have the layer of carbohydrate, layer of fiber, layer of carbohydrate, so it's very solid structurally also. Right? It takes a very long time to cook also. So that's why it's best to consume. Don't consume minor millets a lot also. I know there's been a lot of talk about consuming millets every day. If you're going to consume millets every day, make sure the consumption is half of what you're normally consuming. If you're eating like, half a kg of rice, you only consume 250 grams of millets that day. It has more potency than that much of rice, double the rice. Okay. So that's one thing you have to make sure. So again, we're towards the end of the session. I guess maybe now you know how to make a ganji. I'll give you one clue for your chapati, because you're eating it every day, Akka. So chapati, jawari roti, bajra roti. Okay. First you bring the flour, right? Where do you get the flour from?
We go to the typical mill.
So you
It's
take
nearby.
your wheat and go to the mill to get
Yeah.
it ground, correct? Ground into fine powder. Okay, that's good. And that powder's validity is only 10 to 15 days. After that, there's no prana left in it. So you only make flour for only 10 to 15 days. You keep the whole grain the way it is. So whatever you're getting in the markets, the 10 whatever, the 10 kg packets, 15 kg packets of atta. So first of all, it's heavily maida. Okay. It's not wheat flour. There's more maida content in it. Number one. Number two, it's been stored for like, I don't know how many months. So all the prana is already gone. And on top of that, it's stored in plastic. So if there is prana left, they're making sure it's gone. So try not to consume any of the atta you get from the markets, all the flour, the wheat flour. Okay, so now that you went to the girni or that grinder machine, you got it ground and you brought it home. You make sure you store it in a container where it's not exposed to air. Okay. If you have steel, big steel, steel containers are okay. Glass containers are even better, but you can only fit so much in glass. But second best after glass is, clay is the best. Glass is there, steel containers. Okay. You store them and you add water to knead, right? To make into, you knead the flour basically. Right? In the kneading process, okay, you add 10% ganji in it. 5 to 10%. You add water, right? Anyway, right? Whatever amount of water, if you're adding like, 200 ml of water, make sure 20 ml is ganji. You need that with ganji. And you have to set it aside for how long do you set it aside normally once you need it?
If I am in a hurry, then I don't set it
You don't
aside
set
for
it aside.
10.
Okay.
Otherwise, for 5 to 10 minutes.
Correct. So don't be in a hurry next time. So what you do is once you need it, you cover it with cotton cloth and you have to leave it there for at least 1 hour minimum. You can leave it longer also, 45 minutes to 1 hour. In that time, all the bacteria in the ganji will go around, do its play. Again, this is not the best method. This is the method you can use instantly right away. In the advanced sessions, we'll go over how to make it even better. Okay. So next time you try making chapati or jawari roti or bajra roti this way and tell me if you found any difference. Do it on a day that is like a little bit leisure for you, like Sunday,
Yeah, sure.
when you know you have a little more time to play with. You try it and tell me. And this is for everybody. I mean, Gauriyaka is asking, but anybody that is eating rotis made from jawar, bajra, or wheat, these are or ragi. See, ragi is slightly better compared to the three, but yeah, this applies to ragi also. So any of these four major millets, please do it this way. Yeah, and you tell me what your experience is.
And now daily my sabzi is according to how you have told.
Okay.
Dal and sabzi is definitely according to how you have told. But
Okay.
because I'm not consuming rice on a daily basis, so ganji is on and off.
That is okay, Akka. Like I said, today we shared how to store the ganji also, right? So I know Abhijit Anna once asked me, what is the ratio of rice to water to make enough ganji? Actually, you cook with more water. You have to understand that at some point, we're only interested in the top part. Okay. So this is the actual culture. The culture is here also, but it's heavily concentrated in the transparent part. So for example, generally, if you're making ganji, for example, you're using 1 is to 2 water. You cook with 1 is to 4 water, extract lot of ganji. All that will be culture only. So you can store it for a longer time. You can make more, and that is okay. But you only do this after the initial 7 days. I was telling you the 7 days of preserving the ganji. After you get good rice, like black rice, red rice, or purple rice, you make the first batch ganji with that. After that, use that as a culture to make more. So that say every third day you're eating rice. So those 2 days when you're not cooking rice, you can have this. If you're from North Karnataka and Telangana, we also make jowar ambli also here. That means you can make ganji with jowar also. But we are not used to, I mean, see, today, at least my generation, we have not experienced eating jowar rice, like how we eat regular rice. We are only used to eating jowar as roti. But in the previous generation, everybody knows this here. They used to eat jowar like rice only. Jowari roti also, but rice also. They used to do more. So they used to get ganji from jowar also back then. That is also fine. Jowar is not very predominant anymore today. So yeah, only rice and wheat have become like 90% of people's diet in India today. And maybe across the world also, actually, if you really look at it. If you're from the US, if you start growing millets, you'll be charged because millets is classified under animal feed. So you cannot grow it for human consumption. So yeah, so I hope you're lucky enough to not be living in the US. But anyway, right now you're getting imports from India, so that is fine. But if you have to grow it yourself, you cannot do it. So yeah, it's lot of options. But yeah, so what I would like all of you to do is please try making all these things as you're making them, and you're doing other things at home. Obviously, you're cooking so many other things that you're already used to cooking, right? You'll get questions on how to make something more pranic. You keep asking them in the group. For example, one day you're making turai and then you'll be like, okay, how do I cook this vegetable properly to make it more pranic? If it's different from regular procedure, I'll say, okay, Akka, you do it this way. So one such example, I'll just give it to you, how to cook lady's finger or okra, bhindi, right? So the biggest problem with bhindi is you'll get that slime, the sticky thing, whenever you're cooking, especially the moment you put bhindi in water, gone. You forget about it. It's all like gluey and gooey, correct? So, bhindi is the only vegetable, maybe I covered it in one of the sessions. You have to cook it in coconut oil first until that slimy texture is gone. Once that slime is gone, you're not making it fry. Maybe you're making it 30% fry. That slime will disappear. After that, you add water. So at least part of the prana is remained. And this is only because of our convenience, but actually the gooey part is actually good. But for us, it will be very difficult to consume it. For us to hold it also, it becomes difficult. That's why I'm saying this. So in the advanced sessions, we'll learn how to make use of the okra slime to overcome chronic illnesses. That's another beautiful amrit again. So we'll talk about that in the advanced sessions.
Anna, I wanted to show you something.
Okay.
I had said I have been using bioenzyme for quite some time now, maybe more than a year.
Oh, wow.
I filter it in and label bottles like this.
Oh, beautiful, Akka. Beautiful. What do you use it for?
Right now, actually, I have been using it only for cleaning surfaces like
Okay.
floor cleaning, toilet cleaning,
Yeah.
basins and everything, wash basins and all.
Okay.
So now I'm going to prepare a fresh culture so that I can use it for, the way you said, to remove the
Okay.
pesticides and everything.
Yeah. So for everybody's benefit, so we can use bioenzyme to clean floors, to clean kitchen counters, to for toilets and everything. On top of that, we can use it for pesticide removal in vegetables and fruits. And on top of that, you should actually, I highly recommend you use it as air freshener in the house. That way, there's air in the prana also. You're improving the prana in the air. Sorry, there's not air in the prana, but you're increasing the prana in air. Okay. So,
So whatever bottles I have, you start using it for bioenzyme. Now this
Yes.
one is ready to filter, and
Okay.
this one also.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So for everybody's benefit, we use the citric bioenzyme. We did the citric bioenzyme, right? We use the orange peels and all those things. But Akka has made bioenzyme from other things also. Can you share what all you used? What
Yeah.
other bioenzymes you made?
Uh, Mostly I have made out of citrus, but then I have used 1 5 liter can for mango bioenzyme,
Wow.
which
Okay.
I'm using mostly for watering my plants
Yeah.
once in a while. I keep alternating them.
Yeah.
One I've made banana. This one is banana bioenzyme for flowering plants,
Okay. Very
and
nice.
one is mixed veg peel bioenzyme. So,
Okay. Daily waste. Yeah.
so that also I keep using for mostly for watering my plants
Very
only.
good. Very good. So I think we can take some anybody who has a garden or growing stuff. Banana bioenzyme is highly effective for plants, along with Ganji. Okay, Ganji is also very good. Banana bioenzyme is also very good, and mixed veg peels once in a while for plants is also good because diversity is the key for prana. You should not be eating the same food every day. You should not. Again, there's some exceptions. You can have rice every day. You can have green gram every day. Within the spices, you can have jeera every day. You can have mustard seeds every day, and you can have turmeric every day. And you can have red chilies every day and black pepper every day. These are the few things. There are about 10 to 15 things you can have every day without any issues. But every other type of spice or millets or food, you have to mix them up every day. Don't have the same vegetable every day, like all days of the week. Am I visible? Audible? Hello?
Visible. You're stuck. Yeah, now you're better.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so same thing, like try your best. If you're eating millets, don't do multigrain millets. It's very unhealthy, right? If you're having vegetables, I know we spoke about sambar also. Sambar also you cook with one vegetable and one dal. That's it. Right? Tomorrow, if you're cooking bhindi sambar today, tomorrow you cook radish sambar. Day after tomorrow you cook carrot sambar. Something else. You keep changing it. Okay. Millets also. If you're eating one millet today, make sure you have some other millet tomorrow. Unless again, see there's one more dimension to this. For example, you are born in a family where wheat is staple. For example, you can have wheat anytime because your gut biome from birth is made up of that, and that's okay. Like those things are exceptions, but other than that, try to rotate your food. And on a particular day, just keep it as simple as possible. One millet, one dal, one vegetable, one type of oil. That's it. Morning, afternoon, night. If you're eating 3 times a day, twice a day, just afternoon and morning, or I mean morning and night. Yeah, that is the
Anna, do we cook
simplest
the
way to.
same thing in the night? You mean same
Yeah,
vegetable, same
yes,
dal,
yes, yes.
same?
It's best if you cook the same thing,
Okay.
right? That's the simplest.
Actually, it simplifies so many things.
It does simplify a lot of things, not only inside, outside logistics also will be simplified. And that's why we introduce biosalt so that we cook in the morning, the sabzi we are cooking or the curry we are cooking, it will retain prana till night. That's why we use biosalt, right? So in case you don't want to cook it again or you don't have time, you can cook once in the morning and it will stay good till evening. So that is one good thing about biosalt. Not only does it give us minerals that we need, it will also keep your food stay longer without losing prana. When
Anna,
food is getting spoiled, that's what it means. We are losing prana in the food, positive prana in the food, basically. Yes, Akka?
Anna, you had shown the hot pack for slow cooking. So,
Yes.
should that be used only for rice, or can it also be used for dal?
Anything you're cooking on stove, you can use it for everything. Anything and everything. In fact, you can use it for your, for example, you're making curd every day, for example, right? Once the curd comes to warm temperature or the milk comes to warm temperature, you add culture, right? In peak winter times, you can keep that in your hot pack also. It will maintain that temperature for a very long time. I think Ranjita Akka will can benefit from this. If you're having trouble fermenting,
Yeah.
Right? You can create the hot pack. Once it reaches the temperature that you desire, you keep it in the hot pack and cover it. You can go to the local farms and you can get hay. Hay is the dry grass, correct? So
So
you
all
can make one.
360 degrees, you cover it with hay covered in the cloth.
Correct. Correct. The only reason we're covering it in cloth is only for one purpose, so that hay doesn't get everywhere, in the food especially. Okay. If you have proper woolen blanket, that is also fine. But make sure there's no synthetic fibers in it. In whatever you're doing, make sure there's no synthetic fiber. You can have cotton or wool. And no silk also. Cotton and wool is fine. Yeah.
I think in general here, the fermentation is the problem. Fermenting
Correct.
anything overnight, like batters, anything doesn't work.
So
would that work for fermenting batters, like the same method?
yes, same method. Yes. But only thing with batter is you have to make sure that it overflows.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with the batter. Okay. Same with the batter. If you want the batter to ferment, one thing you can do, Akka, is once you have your ganji after 1 week preserved, you can use this as a starter for the batter. It will happen faster even with low temperatures. The reason it doesn't happen fast enough is because the bacteria is not very active to start the process in colder temperatures. Now, when you added active bacteria into it and mixed it, it will start the process. Okay, that is one way to do idli batters and dosa batters and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're making ragi dosa, also same thing. We generally don't ferment ragi dosa as a batter, but we have to ferment that also.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I generally just soak ragi in the night and in the morning
Yeah.
just grind it and do the
That is okay,
dosa.
but it's best if you can just let it ferment for at least, when I say ferment, let it sit for at least 1 to 2 hours before you start putting it on the stove.
I tried the dal, you said, but I tried it for sambar.
Okay.
I assume it's the same method, but I did with the masoor dal.
Yeah.
And then the vegetables separately, and then mix them both.
Yeah.
What I found is that the dal is more watery.
Yeah.
It's not mixing up with the
It's not mixing.
extra water.
So one thing we do is generally we mash the dal a little. Right? Once it reaches that 90% cooked level, we mash the dal before we add the vegetables to it if you want it more even. Or use less water when cooking. Slightly less water. Yeah, that's something you can do. But anyway, every day we are cooking is sambar only. We are just not calling it sambar.
Yeah.
In this method, whatever we are doing, right? We are adding dal and vegetable. That is sambar only every day. The only thing is maybe sambar spices are not being used every day. Yeah. Anything else that you have, anything that you're doing every day that you don't know, you're not sure if you're doing it properly?
Just that even the sambar method you said, the spices, you said just dry roast it and add it.
Correct.
We can just grind, like powder it, right?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
And would you recommend, because this mixture is constant,
Yeah.
making a powder and then adding using it whenever?
So once you dry roast it, you can use the mixer grinder. For now, it's okay. Unless you have the stone and pestle. That's a different thing. If you don't have stone and pestle, if you're not comfortable with stone and pestle's consistency, you can use the mixer grinder, but 10 seconds, stop. 10, 30, 10, 30, 10, 30. 10 seconds you grind, 30 seconds you stop. 10 seconds you grind, 30 seconds you stop. You should not let it heat up. If you got the mixer grinder from India, you probably did, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You took it from India, yeah. So it will heat up, you'll notice. The small one is what you're using, probably the small jar. Yeah, the small jar will heat up. So make sure it doesn't reach that heating temperature. That means you have to hold the jar. When you turn it on, you have to feel the temperature. If it's getting warm, stop it. Cool down, let it cool down again. Start again. If it's getting warm, stop it. Let it cool down again. Start again. Anyway, it won't take more than 20-30 seconds to grind it up, right? Total. So instead of 30 seconds, this process will take you 3 minutes, and that's okay.
And what do you suggest about using microwave Oh, Vincent.
So microwave, we generally used to alter the DNA in labs. So I'll leave it up to you. So microwave is that spectrum of light which human bodies are uh, they don't it's basically poison to the human body, right? So it's best not to use. Best to use the stove only. See, even stove is not the best part, but at least it's not as bad as microwave. So maybe slightly better than microwave is electric kettles, those things like that, because they are actually slightly faster than your stoves. Correct? They have the heating element, they'll heat up a little faster. Still not very good for prana, but at least it's not as bad as microwave, because microwave is actually poisonous and cancerous. In this electric kettles, you're losing prana a little, and that's okay. At least you're not getting the harmful effects of it. And for emergencies only, excuse me, for emergencies only, so it's okay. So yeah, to lead a pranic lifestyle, yeah, you need a lot of time for preparation, I think. But once you get a hang of it, once you know the flow, you know exactly how long it takes and how to make it even better. You'll find efficient methods yourself. And maybe one day you will tell me, Anna, you're wasting time here, but you can do it this way. So that will help us also. For example, when
Uh,
we are cooking rice and sabzi, we spend half an hour, we put it in the hot pack and we'll go for whatever activity we're doing. When the time comes for brunch, we'll come back and we'll just directly consume it. We're not wasting a lot of time at the stove. Correct? So that's it.
Anna, if we are in a hurry and we need to cook dal, so I did it 2, 3 times like this. That first I removed the foam from
Ah.
the dal, and after that, since I did not have a lot of time to wait and pay attention that it does not spill over on the stove or something like that,
Hmm.
I put it in the cooker, but I did not let the whistle blow.
Okay.
So I switched it off before. So can we do something like that if we are in a hurry and if we
See, if you're in a hurry, obviously cooker is the way, right? Especially for dal. So for at least for rice, you can buy these electric rice cookers that will do the job, right? You won't get the ganji out. It's fine, but at least you can cook the rice in a decent way. With the dal, I think cookers are only the pressure cookers are only the way are the only way to do it. And again, I'm not recommending it, but if you're in a rush, you do it. That's okay. I mean, that's up to your discretion. Yeah, on that particular day, your stomach will be full, but maybe not full with prana. And yeah, emergencies, like everybody has emergencies, so completely understandable. But make sure that it's happening once a week rather than every day. That's all, you know. Once in a while, if you do it, yeah, it's okay.
No, I had the same thing actually.
Okay.
I tried to cook rajma, but
Rajma
it took
also,
a
it
lot
takes
of
a very
time.
long time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So soaking time has to be increased, na? And when you're soaking also, soak it in a slightly hot water. I mean, sorry, slightly warm water.
one important like feedback I wanted to give.
Yes, Akka.
Uh, so actually, my husband has been recommended not to consume too much of these pulses and stuff. So we have a certain kind of kidney bean at our place, like from our native place, and it is generally very difficult to digest. And if somebody has been recommended, avoid this, then that is one of the first things that somebody removes from their diet. So what I did was, the way we cook dal,
Mm.
I put it in boiling water, and
Yeah.
I started removing the foam and the
Oh.
upper part of the water. And quite miraculously, he did not have any side effects after consuming
Oh,
that.
very good, Akka. Good to hear. So the kidney bean, is it the same as rajma or is it something else?
No, this I have never seen outside of
Okay.
our place. It has whatever pattern is there on soldiers' uniform, that kind of pattern it has, a
Oh,
brown,
wow.
brown kind of pattern it has on it.
Okay.
So
Very
we find
nice.
it only at our place, like
Yeah,
native.
yeah, yeah. India is home to 150 pulses. We only know five. So every region has their own native pulse. And I didn't think about this, but just before coming to India, I went to Colombia to volunteer. During my time there, I noticed that their diet is heavily pulses based. Obviously they call them beans. Whenever you go to any supermarket in Colombia, you will find 15 different varieties of beans, dry beans, just like our dal, right? And these are whole beans. They don't split them. Whole beans. That's how they consume. I was shocked because I thought India is home to pulses and beans. I saw there 15. When I came to India, when I did my research, I noticed we are like more than 150 varieties. But they're all like region specific, so we don't see them in what do you say, in the volume that we need for the rest of the country. So what is famous today is tuar, moong, green gram, basically. Masoor dal that Akka was saying. Masoor dal is also a variant of tuar only, actually, right? It's the same family as tuar. Um, Chena. So today we are getting soya. How many of you are consuming soya? Soya is actually very bad for health. It's grown as a cash crop. So you can conveniently reject anything that is grown as cash crop in India today. Okay. So soya is actually very unhealthy. Again, I'm not saying you should not consume it at all. Consume it sparingly, once in a while, and follow the same process, removing the foam and everything. Okay. And rajma is not bad or good. It's a very neutral thing. So again, don't consume a lot of rajma also. Okay. It's slightly rajasic. So again, if you're doing that kind of activity, you consume it regularly, a lot of physical activity. If not, consume it sparingly. Other types of pulses are okay. Tuar, green gram, and chana, they're fine. Chana has more gases, so maybe spend a little more time removing the foam. That's all. Any other things that you do regularly? Any questions?
Not much, Anna. We've been eating only 2 meals a day since the last 6 years or so.
Oh,
I
wow.
think with kanji, I think it'll help us. I need to
It will
start.
definitely help, especially when you know your first meal is going to take a little longer. Have ganji and do your work. Do whatever you need.
Yeah, that's the thing because first cooking in the morning.
Correct.
uh,
Yeah, that is what we do also. We right after we finish our practices, we have ganji first or beet kos, one of the two. And then when the brunch time happens, that's when we have brunch, basically. Right? So that's how it is. Yeah, you can have that.
So you have
So
your, in case you're having any fruits or nuts, you have it before kanji.
so we follow the ashram method for fruits. So oh yeah, we didn't talk about groundnuts. I'll explain right now because you mentioned it. So um, in ashram, if you sit in Bhiksha hall, you get served fruit first. So we have all of that as one meal only in one sitting. We sit down, we have our fruits. We eat fruits very slowly, not because fruits are to be consumed slowly, but because fruits, they fill you up fast. That means you will feel that you're no longer hungry, but you'll start feeling hunger after 2 hours. So Sadhguru also says this, you eat fruits slowly. Take your time, eat one piece at a time, slowly, slowly, slowly. That way, you can eat your meal properly so that you don't think about eating food again until the evening time. This is especially for people who are eating twice a day. If you're eating thrice a day, anyway, the second and third meal will be sufficient, right? So after fruits, again, nuts. So you only consume nuts when you know that you're doing physical activity. Akar. Nuts are very high calorific value. Any of the nuts you take, right? You're talking about groundnuts or almonds or cashew nuts. They're high in calories, high in a different type of calories also. That means uh, if you don't utilize it, you will get chronic illnesses later on in your life. Okay, so that's why if you're eating only peanuts, and that's okay, right? Just have peanuts only. That's it. No more food. Or you have very few peanuts, soaked peanuts also. I remember from the first two sessions, I think I mentioned, you have to soak the peanuts for at least 6 hours before you consume them, right? And again, if you're living in very cold countries, these nuts could be of some help. Definitely, they'll be helpful because you're losing your energy from from heating the body, right? So you'll be utilizing some energy like that, so you can consume nuts. But if you're living in India for 2 months a year, if you stop nuts, rest of the year you don't, you can consume nuts. Sorry, for 2 months, 2 to 3 months a year, you can have more nuts. This is the time. In India, you can have nuts. It will give you that heat and stuff. But rest of the year, you don't need a lot of nuts. So groundnuts is the simplest of all the nuts. So what makes groundnuts unique? So does everybody know there is this thing called monocot and dicot? So monocots are generally our cereals. That means our rice and millets, right? They don't break in half, correct? Dicots are all our pulses and beans. They split in half, right? So what is groundnut? Is it monocot or dicot? Can you split the peanut in half?
Dicot.
It's a dicot, correct? So is it dal or is it nut?
Legume.
It's a legume, correct. But is it pulses? It's not pulse. I mean, it doesn't, at least I'm talking about the Indian food category. It doesn't come under the main course. It doesn't come under dal category also. But it has a resemblance of dal. It has a resemblance of beetroot because it grows under the soil. It has the resemblance of nut because or oil seed. Three categories of Indian grains is monocot, dicot, and oil seed. Correct? Oil seed is like sesame, safflower, coconut. These are all oil seeds, let's say, right? So groundnut is also an oil seed. It has a resemblance of a legume or pulse, can split in half. For example, the foam you get in this thing, part of the foam is aflatoxins. You'll get aflatoxins in groundnuts also. So it's very close to pulses family also. Okay. It's grown underground, so it's very close to beetroot. So it's highly rich in micronutrients compared to other nuts. Okay. And if you look at the composition, groundnut is actually not very different from monocots in terms of um, carbohydrates and protein ratios. So that's why it's a complete food in itself. It covers everything. If you have groundnut, it covers monocots, dicots, and oil seeds, and micronutrients also. That means things grown underground also. That's why Sadhguru talks about groundnuts all the time. It's a miracle food. If you don't have anything, just have this much of groundnuts or this much of groundnuts. He says, but soak groundnuts. If you don't soak them, all the toxins, you cannot digest it. You'll notice that if you're eating raw groundnuts, right, you'll get gas and other things, correct? It won't digest very well within your system. So soaking them will remove all of that. Yeah. So I hope, yeah, you can
And
make
Anna, is
groundnut.
is it okay to have like a banana shake like with groundnuts in the morning?
हाँ. So actually, one second. Remember, na? Glass ball this kar लो sir. So for banana shake or anything again, we will be using the mixer grinder or juicer, correct?
Yeah.
So are you going to use only banana in the shake or are you going to be using anything else with it?
I usually put macadamia milk. Like,
Okay. So again, Anna, macadamia is actually not very healthy. You can have it again. If you're making the milk yourself, it's slightly better. If you're buying it from the market, you can just forget about it. Where do you live, Anna?
in Mauritius.
Oh, you're in Mauritius. Is macadamia native to Mauritius? I don't know
No,
much
no, no.
about Mauritius.
I think it comes from South Africa.
South Africa. Okay. So
Yeah.
macadamia nuts, if you have them available, you can follow the same process. You soak the nuts overnight for 7 to 8 hours. And next day morning, you can add few macadamia nuts and the banana together in the blender and blend it. You add enough water, automatically the milk will be there. Macadamia
Yeah,
milk.
yeah.
Same thing. See, macadamia milk is nothing but they're taking the fibrous part of the macadamia out, which has a lot of nutrition, by the way, and they sell it as cattle feed. Or they go into the macadamia flavorings,
Hmm.
and they're selling you the milk, basically. And they add a lot of preservatives to it, and you lose all that prana, whatever is there. And they make the milk in very high temperatures. So, like I was telling Ranjita Akka, same thing when you're blending anything, make sure you blend for few seconds. If it's getting hot, stop it. Especially with the fruits and stuff, you will not feel the heat. because they're already cold with water and fruit, right? So make sure 5 seconds, stop, 5 seconds, stop, 5 seconds, stop. So make sure you do it very carefully so you don't lose a lot of prana. So that is one thing, and we never spoke. Sorry, Anna, did that answer the question? You can have it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
have macadamia nut and banana. That's totally fine in the morning. But don't have these things at night.
Yeah.
That's it. In the morning, you can have
Because,
all these things properly.
because I saw one video like Sadhguru was making the banana shake around it, and I
Yes.
think he was using coconut milk.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can. Coconut milk
Yeah.
is so rich. You can have coconut milk. You can have macadamia milk. You can have peanut milk. Peanut milk is the same thing, right? Soak the peanuts for 6 to 8 hours. You blend it with water. You get peanut milk. You can also mix banana in it. Totally fine. Yeah. So again, do this only for the morning. Don't even have this for afternoon or evening unless you know you're going to do a lot of physical activity after that. Okay. So one thing what we do normally, and this is for okay, we never spoke about fruit selection. Maybe this is like one topic we missed that I was supposed to talk. So whenever you go to the market, you buy fruits, correct? And typically the fruits are not ripe. You buy the kacha ones only, the raw ones generally, or semi-raw. But the fruits we are supposed to consume should be ripe. They should not be raw. So you should wait for them to ripe properly, especially bananas, Anna. So don't have raw bananas or semi-ripe bananas. Make sure the bananas are ripened properly, not overripe again. Overripe means you'll start smelling it. Selena, you have a question?
No, that's fine.
Okay, okay, okay. So don't overripe it. Ripe it just enough that it's actually sweeter in taste. Generally, you can do this test with babies. If you have any like newly born babies, 3-month-old babies, 5-month-old, 6-month-old babies, you give them two bananas. One is the semi-ripe banana we are consuming every day. You give them the ripe bananas. You'll notice which one they consume more. They'll automatically consume the ripe bananas only. So that is the nature of what we are supposed to consume, ripe bananas. Okay. That is the difference between vegetables and fruits. Vegetables, we have to eat them before they becomes before they become dry, right? You have to eat like when the vegetables are in their youth phase, not baby phase, not the adult phase, youth phase, correct? And fruits, we have to eat them in the adult phase or actually end phase, actually, when they become very old, that they're like done with it. That's when you're supposed to consume the fruits. That is the basic difference between vegetable and fruit. That's why tomato comes under fruit, not vegetable. That means you have to consume the tomato once it's ripe, not when it's fresh. Yeah. Okay. So one problem you may have it with fruits, like for example, papaya. So how many of you consume papaya once in a while from the market, from your backyard? Abhijit and
Market
also
papaya.
market papaya. How about you, Abhijitana?
Me once in
Both
a
are,
while.
Once in a while, Salana. Abhijitana, both market and home. Huh?
yes.
Okay. So one more thing, Anna. Raw papaya, ripe papaya. Okay. So we are very lucky today's session. Luckily, the two papayas fell from our tree, and once in a while this happens. Okay, it's mysterious even to us. Okay, which one is would you more likely to consume? The one on my right side or left side?
Right.
Anybody?
Right.
Right side? Okay, so only one person, huh? Nobody else is consuming papayas. Which one are you more likely to
Right.
consume? Right side.
The
Okay.
right side.
Right.
Right side. Okay. How about the papaya you get in the market? Is it more like the ones on the left side or right side? Generally, or somewhere in between?
In between.
In between? Okay. Let's say in between. Let's say in this color. Correct? Somewhere in this color. Okay. Now, what do you do is normally you bring this home, you let it ripe for some time, And it's not fully ripe also. You will be satisfied when it's like 50% ripe only. You start consuming it generally. And when you notice, you cut the papaya, right? You'll notice it's only sweet in the center, but once you come to the edges, it's not sweet. You notice that?
Yes.
Only the ripened part is sweet, and 50% papaya is actually not ripe, but you still eat it. Just like watermelon also. It's not fully ripe, but you still consume it. You notice that? Okay. So again, going back, the fruits, only when when they ripen, that's when they release proper prana, or else they don't release proper prana, and it will become, I'm not going to say it's going to be harmful for you, but you won't get the nutrition that you are actually consuming them for. So one alternative for these kind of fruits, because what happens is when you buy these kind of things in the market, even if you wait for a long time, they don't ripe evenly. They ripe only on one half, they don't ripe on the other half. And you'll be hoping that okay, let's wait till it ripes on the other half also. What happens is this one gets spoiled. So in order to avoid that, you just cut it open and start consuming it. At that point, what you do is you take the skin off, make small pieces. You take this glass bowl like this. Again, this bowl you can get them on Amazon. Actually, they're pretty economical. We bought them a year ago, so I don't remember the cost. Okay, you cut the pieces in this and use your fingers. Okay, wash your hands with the bioenzyme and squeeze them properly. Okay, it will not be fully juice. Some juice will be there, some pulp will also be there. In that, you add 10 to 20 ml. 1 second. 10 ml సరిపోతుంది కదా ఒక పపాయ. Let's say 10 ml biosalt. Mix it properly, very well. Cover it with a cotton cloth. Set it aside for 20 minutes and then you consume it. Okay, so what this biosalt does, or the ingredients in the biosalt, the bacteria in the biosalt, it makes all the unripe part, it makes it bioavailable. So that way you may not get the perfect taste, but at least your body can get something out of it. So just remember this term called bioavailable. Bioavailable means even plastic has prana, but you cannot take it. We don't have the faculty to consume it and make it available to us. That's called bioavailability. For human bioavailability, unripe fruits are not bioavailable. So when you add this biosalt and just mix it and leave it aside for 15-20 minutes and then you consume it, you'll notice the taste is enhanced anyway. You'll also notice the prana is enhanced and all the unripe part or semi-ripe part will become bioavailable for you. Okay, this is something you can start practicing from today on, only because you don't have a garden of your own. Because we have a garden of our own, we are using this fully ripe papayas. Okay, and this one, miraculously, it just fell down today, so we had to do something with it. We had to figure out. Generally, again, if you're from southern part of India, you make halwa with it. So I don't know what you do with the raw papaya in the north. You can make sabzi also with it. But again, this is not very healthy. We can make sabzi, but it's not very healthy for us. Okay, so just remember this when you're doing your fruit and vegetable selection. Okay, and you do this like with ladies with bhindi also you do this, right? You only buy what kind of bhindi? Bhindi that is already went past its age, or when it's like fresh? In youth stage only, right? It's not small, it's not big, somewhere in the youth stage. That's when you get the bhindi. So that's how it works with all the vegetables. Exception being underground ones like beetroot, carrot, and radish. Okay, you have to make sure they ripe a little. Yeah. Okay. So any other questions? So Silent Anna, if you're making your shake, you add a little bit biosalt in it. Okay, once you prepare the shake, you set it aside, add 10 ml biosalt, mix it with spoon or whatever, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you consume it.
Yes, I'll try that.
Yeah, and then you won't feel the taste of the salt because it's very little you're adding. But it creates a lot of impact with the fruit and the milk that goes in it. It makes it highly positive pranic at that stage.
So same thing with macadamia milk. I can do with
You can do the same thing, but
uh,
macadamia milk
with
is coming from market, right? It's you're not making it.
with almond also. I can do the same, right?
You can do this with any nut: coconut,
Oh,
macadamia, almond, cashew nut, peanuts. What other nuts are there? Walnuts, it's a little difficult to extract the milk. It's possible, it's a little difficult, but yeah, you can do with all kinds of nuts.
but let's say if I'm putting other nuts like in the mix, all has to be soaked, right?
They all have to be soaked, but again, like I was saying, you only do one nut at a time. Today, if
Okay.
you're doing peanuts, tomorrow you do some other nuts. Because the body will get confused and it will not use anything when you do multi nuts, multi grain. Once in a while, you have a festival or some wedding or something, you consume everything. That is okay. That is once in a while. But on regular basis, we follow this simple principle that keep it as simple as possible. Use one grain, one monocot, one dicot, one vegetable, one nut, one fruit. Even fruits also. It's best to consume the same fruits in the morning and night. But yeah, fruits is like slightly like a borderline exception. You can have multiple fruits, but in one sitting, you consume only one kind of fruit. For example, morning brunch, you're consuming fruits means you only consume banana means only banana. Don't mix with two, three different kinds of fruits. So fruit salads are actually not very good for health. So Ayurveda also talks about it. You'd never mix fruits like that. And on top of that, when you add milk and everything to fruits, typically we call custard and fruits. That's poison. We should not do that. Okay? It's viruddha. That means opposite foods. They're not very healthy for us.
Do you store all your vegetables like just do you use refrigerator, or what do you suggest like for people living outside and
For people living outside, you can just leave it in your garage, Akka. If you have a
Mm.
garage. That's what my parents do actually. My mom's not here right now, but she's on every other, she's coming and going. Padmavati is my mom actually. She's also learning and practicing all these things right now. But yeah, she leaves all the, whenever she gets vegetables or fruits, she leaves them outside only. It's cold already, right? Yeah, so that's the best way to do. If you're living in an apartment, you can live in the balcony. So in the morning, make only thing is if it's going to freeze, that's a problem. So yeah, make sure that you're using fridge. See, the only reason we are using fridge is because we want the vegetables and fruits to stay longer without getting spoiled. So that means you have to make more trips to the supermarket or grocery store. That's all. So one second. Anna, a butta ఒకటి తీసుకొస్తారా vegetables. So we'll show you what we are doing actually. This is the simplest way. You can maybe you can buy these things in India when you come here, and people living in India, you can do this process. So whenever we get anything from outside market, especially vegetables, so what we do is we use this bamboo basket. You just leave it in there and make sure they're not suffocating. So one of these bamboo baskets, and we don't overcrowd it. We make sure they're breathing enough. When they're breathing enough, they don't get spoiled. Okay, that's all. And they typically any vegetables we bring from market, they last 4 to 5 days normally in this, and that is enough for us. Right? Every 4 to 5 days, we can go and get more vegetables, more fruits, and that is fine. But if you're not making a trip every for 2 weeks, that's a different story. I don't have a solution for that. Uh, this is a solution I saw like years ago. There's some guy by name, I forgot his name, but it's called Mitti Cool. I think the company is called Mitti Cool. They're making fridges with clay. It's a little difficult to export, but if you're living in India, if you want a fridge like that, you can get one, order one. Or if you're living in an area where stone construction is popular, okay, you can construct something within your house with stone, like the size of a fridge or something, and you plaster with soil, whatever soil is available in your region, and you cover that with bamboo, something with bamboo, so aeration happens, and leave it in shade. Make sure it's in shade. That's all. And I know in some places in eastern Andhra and Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they use the coconut branches also for covering. It will keep the food cool and cold, and food will retain fresh for a long time. That's something we thought about it, but not right away. We're focused on other infrastructure right now. Once we are done with that, once we have set up for proper volunteers to come and stay, we're thinking about more things to do. So like that, you can create, especially if you're in India, you can make an oven with soil only, brick and soil. You can construct it yourself. So these are the things we want to construct and keep it available for people to come and experience, so they can create it themselves if they want to. So one advantage of this oven is if you want to roast any vegetables, not on the stove, in a compartment like that, where there's heat from bottom, top, everywhere else, we can use the oven. So is it so far so good? Too much information at once, maybe? Overload? Okay, so please, everybody, we would like you to try everything that you are able in the sessions, whatever is covered in the sessions. Please give feedback in the WhatsApp group as much as possible, so that if you're asking questions, it will help other people also. And whatever your experiences, if you share, they can be, other people can also use those ideas, basically, right? So just like any other sadhana support groups, this is like that only in some way, right? As people share experiences of what practices they're doing and how they're doing, other people can get inspired. So the group is like over 100 people. We are only 6 of us here, so uh, timing is an issue for sure for some people, but yeah, we can inspire more people to take on this lifestyle. If you're not living in the ashram, if you're living in consecrated space, you don't need to worry about anything. You just flow. It's like a river only. Because we are not living there, so we have to take care of all these little things. Okay, thank you very much for being and helping us start these sessions, which we've been delaying for almost a year now, just because we did not have internet or webcam or so many other things. And if you found any of these things useful, you can donate to Pranav Kshetra if you feel comfortable. This will help in our the Model Village project and whatever, for Devi Temple and Yogashala and everything. Everything matters. And again, the donation doesn't have to be in form of money only. You can come volunteer, here for a few days if you have time. You can come for a day or two as a visit. If you learn more things and spread this, that is also a donation for us, because we would like more and more people to experience this beautiful pranic food or pranic lifestyle. So that is also a form of donation or contribution. So in whichever way you can contribute, please continue doing it. You start doing it. Once you experience it, you can spread the knowledge, and that's totally fine. The advanced classes will start maybe after Mahashivratri. It will give enough time for people to digest all this information and practice and everything. We'll have enough questions answered. Uh, and then we'll start the advanced classes. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for your time. We'll see some other time. Any last minute questions?
No, just thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Akka. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Actually, I don't
Thank
know
you,
much about Pranava Kshetra, so I don't know if you have already covered it. So I'm gonna go back and because
Okay.
you mentioned about the village and stuff. So
Yeah, so maybe a short video is due. I'll make a short video and make it available for everybody in the group about what we are doing, why we are here, just a bit of a background and what is happening today.
yeah, I think definitely. Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
definitely, Akka. Thank you very much. Namaskaram, Manas. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskaram,
you
Anna.
Namaskaram, Anna.
so much.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna.